somebody out there is looking for the YouTube version and they're not getting it yet.
Yeah, put them here.
It's been growing. You know, the community in general, I think, has grown by leaps and bounds over the last year. And I got involved almost a year ago, actually. So it's coming up on a year. I think my first video wasn't until March or something like that. But it's definitely been growing. Especially, I want to say, in the last 90 days, something along those lines. I went from like, 150 subscribers or something like that. It was just the core of us, really, like that would get together and everybody followed each other on Twitter, or Telegram, what have you, and to some extent on Discord, although I'm not there as much as I should be. But then all of a sudden, in the last 60 to 90 days, and AlgoFest helped, I think, because I did all of those videos, but I'm not sure if AlgoFest itself just drew in audience members from other platforms, or just the timing of it was like, hey, we've got these other 700 projects that are being built. We got folks like Chris that's chiming in. We've got Nadeem. We got PayScript. We got people like Algorand, Michael Cotton. All those folks are getting more vocal. In general, everybody is saying more, be more, see more, and gaining their own audience and drawing in new people. And so I think just the group in general, like we're gaining, that critical mass, I think, as we gain attention and put out, news that is momentum worthy and, progress is made. And now, Chris, I don't know how many projects you're working on, my friend, but you must not sleep because every time, right? All of them, right? Every time I talk to somebody, they're like, oh yeah, I talked to Chris over there and he gave me some good advice. If not like, pointing me in the right direction or is actually actively working on this. And so, the more, if we could clone you, man, we'd have all the projects ready like yesterday.
Yeah.
Nobody in this world would want that. I can promise you. one is plenty.
All right. Well,
yeah,
it's good.
I've heard again about the Reach Discord. It seems like the best place to really start. Like, we were talking actually yesterday with Kwame about how the Reach Discord is so helpful for developers. You remember, Kwame, we were talking about that?
Oh yeah, the Reach community is really helpful if you want to get started. Everybody's helping out each other. Doesn't matter what your project is. That's always been one of the things that I've loved about being in that ecosystem, is that it didn't matter if you were an ETH programmer or an ALGO programmer or whatever you're developing for. The Reach was bringing everybody together. So yeah, great open community. Love it.
I appreciate you too, Kwame.
Right. The more voices we have in the system and the ecosystem, the better it is.
And us interacting like this makes it more interactive for everyone else as well too. Just helps us share the information, get it out better.
Yeah, like at this point, the ecosystem is still growing and still small. So if all these different teams are collaborating and helping each other build up, and you can even see it with the new ARC for NFTs that was just released. Like there was a group of different teams that were chiming in and helping that grow. And I'd like to see that continue as these new projects are coming out, that, if there is some issues, not to, badmouth another team, but like build them up, maybe, reach out and help that team get to the next level. I know it's really competitive in the stages of the Algorand ecosystem, but that lifting up that was there in the beginning needs to continue on.
Yeah, I think we really need to learn from Kwame in terms of mindset, like how lifting up another team lifts you up too. And these like the OGs of the blockchain industry, like Kwame and Chris, like they know that actually long term we need to just help any team we can, and that will come back into our ecosystem and grow all the ecosystem. So we rise together, and that's something that is very different from a usual business competitive, like kind of business. Yeah, I don't know. You see what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's so much room in the space that seeing anybody as competition is silly. I mean, the way I look at it is that a you know there needs to be multiple dexes, there needs to be multiple NFT marketplaces, there needs to be multiple of all of these things, and without it, you don't have an ecosystem. So um, nobody should be nobody should put down anybody else for doing something differently or the same or anything. It's just you need to be very supportive of everybody being successful.
Yeah, us having multiple of anything is not bad. I mean, because we can all learn from, one another's mistakes and so forth. And I feel like that's just going to help us grow more and maybe even help the projects, succeed more.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally agree. Like at this stage, all these awesome projects that are coming out from and all these amazing NFT projects seeing in the Algorand ecosystem. Like if you're here like early when there's only a few of us chiming and sending out stuff, and to see it now with how much stuff there is to actually choose from, it's amazing to see. And I just want to I just want to see that love and energy just keep spreading out. And as these new projects are coming out, and a lot of people are starting to have eyes on Algorand and looking at the community as this is a community that I might join. So we need to take care of that when people are new coming into the ecosystem that maybe don't have backstories onto some of the internal nitty gritty parts that maybe other people don't really understand. But as a collective, I just love the community and just want to see it to continue to grow.
Yeah, I agree. This week, Opulus is doing their token generation deal or whatever, right? But it's run, ETH, right? You got to invest with ETH initially, and I mean that's how I got into crypto in 2017. Everything was ETH, but I find myself now I haven't dealt with ETH in so long. I was like, oh man, Ovilus, I got to go like get some ETH and figure out like how am I going to do this? And I thought to myself, well, man, anybody going from ETH to Algo has that same feeling of like, crap, I got to learn something new, a new system. I got to go get some new wallets. I'm like, I haven't used ETH in so long. My Mu wallet was like still online based. It wasn't like it was like still in my Chrome browser or whatever. Like, it's a different system now. And so I think that barrier to entry, like we should be mindful of that as people come on board and figure out some of the Algorand systems. Now it's easier to onboard with us than it is, vice versa. But after they've already done that, it's like pulling teeth, I think, sometimes to get them to jump into a different blockchain and a different ecosystem and learn the rules of that. So when they do make that jump, we should be, accommodating. And, I've been thinking about putting together some explainer videos. Somebody asked me the other day, like, how do I jump into Lofty, for instance? And it's not hard. Like it's super easy. In fact, that one is fiat based, the investment portion of it. It's just they hold the NFTs or the SAs really on Algo. So you don't really need to do much other than, have a wallet, I guess. But it's still, folks want to know how to do it.
yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people here have heard me talk before. I'm a very direct speaker, I would say, and it's not because I'm critical of anything. So I am critical. It's not because I don't like everything. It's just that I'm a big fan of actually being direct when it comes to information in general. So if I come across a little gruff, it's not because I'm upset about anything at all. It's just that I love factual information.
Yeah, and that's what I like. Like we need transparency and also this open source mindset, like to really have everything on the table and we look at it as it is and we listen to everybody. Like Ibu is a kind of like you, like even more. Like he can be sometimes a bit like too direct, but yeah, we need that type of like interaction to put everything on the table every time and to see things as they are.
Yeah, I think that kind of discussion is, for the most part, as long as it's taken with an open mind and you hear the message, and get the feelings part of it out of the way. Like I would much rather have that kind of discussion that goes back and forth about why this idea is different than this idea or better than this idea, And like, I want to be convinced. So sometimes, I want somebody to play devil's advocate, even if that's not necessarily the position that they take. Or sometimes I'll take that devil's advocate position, even if it's not the position I take, because I want to know, like, hey, what does it feel like? What's the other side going to say? What's the argument against it? Just so we don't fall into that echo chamber.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that because I mean, you want to see every perspective, so like we don't have anything catastrophic happen onto our network. Like the last thing we want to happen is like the DAO hack that happened on like an Ethereum a long time ago, and now there's two Ethereums. You know what I'm saying? We don't want something like that. So it's always good to ask the deepest questions and get every aspect and technical output you can to prevent any failure to happen.
Yeah, that what you said, Scotty, reminds me of the before I discovered Algorand, I was on XRP, and I started this conversation about the tokenomics, etc. Like I felt it was a bit weird, and I also like with another guy. The other guy was part of the. We tried to fork, like he tried to fork XRP, and we started like the Discord, etc. It was kind of exciting to see that the community could try to challenge, like, but it was just like it was impossible to do in reality. But yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I'm about to say I don't think the public has control of XRP nodes. So
Exactly. Yeah. I guess Monty, you were on XRP too, right?
I was trying to keep quiet on the subject because I quietly removed, the hashtag XRP Army from my bio, and I have offboarded all of my XRP. Although I do have a fair amount of Flare that will be dropped in at some point in time. I've kind of stopped following it.
when Flare drop.
Yeah, when Flare drop. I think it was supposed to be summertime, and then it's going to be Q4 or something. I don't know when it's going to happen, but and Flare actually part of their, I don't know if it was the Flare Finance or what's the other like offshoot. One of them had some kind of association loosely with Algo, like they were going to incorporate Algo in some way, shape, or form.
They're going to make it a F asset.
That's right, and that's a like a wrapped asset,
yeah,
right?
You'll be able to use Algo onto the Flare network, and they'll have like essentially a bridge ready for it.
That sounds awesome. That
might
awesome.
help if it comes to fruition. I mean, it's delayed, at this point, like close to 6 months or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which project?
Flare.
I don't know anything about that project.
Yeah, well, it's because it's been delayed 6 months. If you were involved, they would have released early.
I appreciate the confidence, the vote of confidence.
Or they wouldn't have talked about it so much ahead of time, and then we just would have thought they were early because they just sneak attacked us with it.
Yeah, that was just a weird situation. Like we all did like the Flare airdrop thing, and then XRP gets delisted like everywhere, like within weeks after that.
Yeah, it definitely was weird. So, speaking of delistings and exchanges, what's going on with yldy and that what was that other exchange that never listed us but keeps us on there? Like we're still on the website. Probit. Yeah, what's going on with Probit? Like the saga just continues.
I have zero clue. I'm not sure if they can't just figure out teal or what for their node, but I'm not sure. They keep dropping Ethereum projects left and right, but we have yet to hear anything about yldy.
Meanwhile, Mexi and our ecosystem is on the rise. And any word on whether or not Smilecoin was going to be on Mexi? They didn't make that jump yet, right? They're still just on Uni?
I believe so. I imagine I know they said they were going to work on when he was in here that one time. I remember him saying they were going to build a bridge. I'm not sure if it's up and running yet, though.
Yeah, if you go to their website, I think they've got some kind of a burn system. I think you got to prove that you own it, and then burn the ETH or something, the ETH versions, and then they'll just reissue. I think is how they're doing it. I don't know if that's technically what happens, but they've got some kind of formula I think in place to transfer it over so you get the ASA version. but you can't buy it anywhere.
The burning subject is very interesting. I remember with Chris, we had this conversation about like a burning system in Algorand. Like if we could have one address to burn, like that would be a very interesting feature to have like an official burning address that no one can doubt. Like Chris, do you think there is a solution to have a burning feature that is like transparent on the Algorand blockchain?
Sorry, I zoned out a little bit. What's the question exactly?
Yeah, the question is about the burning. You know, when someone in the Algorand on the Algorand blockchain wants to burn like tokens in a transparent way, for now it's a bit difficult, like to really know what's happening and if is it a real burning or something. Like, do you think we can build or think about a burning address that everybody's like can trust and work
Yeah.
with?
I so I'm going to say yes. Everything is possible because everything is possible. It just might take a little bit of creativity. The issue that I would see, like, because usually what happens is like you have like a burning address that everybody knows that it's a dead address. But because of Algorand, you have to opt into assets. So, and the only way you can opt into assets is if it's not a dead address. So what you could do, okay, this is what you could do. You could create a smart contract that is a forever smart contract that allows you to deposit coins into, but make it so that there is no way to actually get coins out of. So that you could actually, if you send coins to that smart contract, you could look at the smart contract code and know that it's not possible to remove them. That's probably the best way.
And we can see all the tokens that were sent there, right? We could
you could do that.
Wow, that's a brilliant idea. Because it would be good to verify the burning, you know, like to really see what's in the bin forever.
I would like to meet the madman that burned some ALGO.
It's more for the ASA, obviously, but yeah. But
if anybody wants to burn ALGO, you can just send it to my public address. I'll make sure that
Same.
I'll handle it.
Hey, don't joke. Back in the day when ALGO was 10 cents, we used to give it out and get people on board and just send out 10, 50, 100 ALGOs like it was nothing. So don't laugh.
Yeah. That is true. Like I remember with the Algorand tip bot, you know, on Telegram and Discord, we have this Algorand tip bot made by Maxime. So you can tip like the community with algos. And I remember when the algo was like, much cheaper. It was frequent to see like a tip with algos, like 2-3 algos. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I gave my friend like 1,000 ALGO back when it was like 20 cents for his birthday. And I told him like, don't sell it, bro. Just stack the interest and thank me later. And then I would always spy on his wallet just to see if he ever like moved it. And then one day I saw he like around when it was like 38 cents. He moved it to Coinbase. And then when they were like shot to $1.80, I go, this is what you get.
Wah, wah, wah.
Shit.
The in your room, Cody. What is it now? The officially unofficial Yieldly
price.
Yeah, Yieldly price. Like they have these like crazy algo tip bot handles Yieldly, and so they have these like crazy like tip wars. Somebody tipped Emily Conway like 12,000 Yieldly the other day. It's getting solid in there.
Yeah, man. That chat room is fun. I have fun with those guys every time we're all in there.
Yeah,
easily
the best Telegram room.
I think I'm not even there. Can you put the link of the Telegram in the AlgoFam chat, please, Cody?
Yes.
So I join it.
Yeah, it's on my profile as my link. But yeah, I'll
thank
post
you.
it there.
Yeah, it's a good group, and it's not just Yieldly. So, if you join that group, the topics will go anywhere from, obviously, the Yieldlings NFTs will lead to any other type of, NFTs in the Algorand ecosystem and other projects. I see a lot of folks talking about, other projects from time to time. The Smile Coin seems to get a lot of attraction. I don't know if it's just specifically that group or not, but they like that, other projects in general, I think. So it's just an all-around good group. Plus, there's a lot of support, like, hey, how do I do this? Or has anybody seen this? Or, all that kind of stuff is good. It's good.
Yeah, we're always in there. Like sometimes I had to do like a Twitch stream the other day to help explain like what liquidity pools were to everybody. Because there's like a lot that just don't understand, how they work and, when to pull out and when to put in kind of thing.
Shoot, I don't even know that. I should have watched.
Could you explain a little bit, Cody, what a liquidity pool? How do you work with them? And I think not many people really understands the mechanics of all that.
Okay. It depends on which one you're also using, but we'll just use Uniswap V2 as a good example. The way it would work on there is you would provide, like, let's say when Tiny Man comes out, I wanted to provide yldy and ALGO as liquidity as a pair. All right. So I'd put equal parts of ALGO and yldy in there. And it would use, like, every time someone would buy some yldy from me using ALGO, I would get a percentage of that as fees. And then naturally we'd make the trade. And usually the going rate is about 0.3%. And it can go up to 1% depending on what the pool is and how much liquidity is in there. So the idea is you want volume. So the more trades that are going on at a certain time, the more money I'm making, and depending on which way the assets are going. A lot of people typically like to use like an asset with a stable coin like USDC or USDT, because it's a lot more easier to just manage one asset instead of two when you're looking at the charts and stuff like that. But essentially you're just helping the protocol, keep the price, add more liquidity to get more people into the ecosystem, and keeping the price more stable.
Thank you for a great short explanation. Do you think it would be a good idea to take a small portion of the fame reserve to put it in a pool in Tiny Man?
Yeah, that would be most likely ideal.
I think
especially if you want.
You very much should.
Yes, it would make it more ideal, and then naturally you can make it where like all the fees that are generated from that go to charity.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. We could have a kind of ethical pool because all the fees will go straight to the AlgoFam wallet to be sent to charities.
Yeah, it'd be really nice when you get some smart contract application where there's like a like every 1% of every trade goes to charity, no matter what, as well, outside of it. You know what I'm saying?
I saw something
like a burn
on
process.
Zest for NFTs that would do split royalties, I think. And I wonder if you could just set it up automatically where, this nonprofit has this wallet, and every time a purchase was made, this doesn't work for every transaction, obviously, but for NFTs, that would be kind of cool to just document and have it just automated and be easily dispersed.
Yeah. So I will consider that. I talked already, like way before I talked with Alex for AlgoDex, like about adding fame, but every transaction with fame will send a fee to a charity pool. So if I can do that in every kind of dex that comes out, I would love that. And Chris, with your AMM, like if we can do that for fame and have an escrow account for charity, I would love to talk to you about it. Like we can talk about it together if you can do that in your AMM.
Yeah, as I always say, anything is possible. It's just make sure that it's clear, it's a good user experience, everything of that sort. But yeah, Bilal, you have an open invite to DM me anytime you want to talk about anything. So just let me know.
Thanks, my friend. So cool.
Does anybody follow the Linglings?
Yes, I talk to Tim from time to time.
So he's doing a kind of a
That's
cool
ALGO.
thing where
Yep.
he put a million yldy, I guess, a million yldy, and he's staking it, and he set up a separate wallet, and he sent out a message, I think, that said, hey, this is illegal if I charge you for it or something, or if I promise it, but don't sue me, because it seems like a vague gray area. But if anybody buys a Lingling, depending on the rarity of it, you get like a stake of the rewards from this million yldy that is currently staked on, in their system. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know how much of it's automated, or if it's how much of that is just him like doing it manually. And I don't know the legality of it, but it's interesting, right? Does anybody else have any
I believe,
feedback on that, or what? Did I say it right?
yeah, that's technically what he's doing. I believe another NFT artist does something similar, like Algana. He does the same with ALGO instead.
You're not talking about Algoana, the lizard guy?
Yes.
Really? I didn't know they did that. I knew they were planting trees, which I think is awesome too.
Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter post about it. And they were sharing like he was doing something similar.
Well, the prices on that thing skyrocket. I think the lowest one on NFT Explorer that I saw was like 2,200 algos right now.
Yeah, I got my fingers crossed for the lottery this week because I like the one that's up for grabs.
Yeah, I really like the Algoana, and I think today or yesterday he launched the Fame Goana. I still have to check it.
Yeah, his NFTs look clean and they're very well drawn.
So Bank on Algorand reached out and asked if he could use my logo on an AlgoBot. And I was like, yeah, sure you can. Absolutely. And then I realized, man, I'm going to get priced out of that sucker.
Yeah, he offered me one. I couldn't buy one. Like, so he just offered me one. He was so nice. Like, yeah, they go very high. Chris, how did you get yours?
I bought it.
Oh, we have Zesbloom. How are you, my friend? Wait, I will put him to invite to speak.
But before we talked about Zesbloom, so one of the things I'm paying attention on Twitter right now, and it feels like a lot of like the OG NFT artists right now have no idea what the ARC3 standard means. It probably would be beneficial if I did like a talk for all of them to explain what it actually means. Do you think that'd be
Definitely.
beneficial?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge update.
Yeah, because like people are saying, I don't see the difference, and it's actually a huge difference. So maybe it would be beneficial. I mean, maybe Thursday, Friday, I'll set something up to explain what the ARC3 actually means.
But you can tell us, like, yeah, you can tell us the basics, like, because I like you said this morning, like many galleries won't work properly after that.
Yeah, I mean, so the big difference is that right now the URL in the like people use to actually just point to the image is instead it points to a JSON file or a mutable JSON file that has metadata, and inside that metadata there is a link to what the image is, but there's also a ton of extra data in that metadata that kind of describes the NFT. So yeah, it's actually quite a bit different.
Hey, Ryan from Zesbroom here. I've been looking at that and following that ARC3 metadata standard for a bit, and yeah, it is quite different. And I'd love to hear what your perspective is on it, Chris. I'm personally planning on following the standard. It may not be quite at first, but we're going to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's people are scared to change. That's always what the case is. I wasn't involved with the dictation of what the standard is, but I listened really intently because it's very important. And the idea of having a standard is for cross-chain interoperability with NFTs. is that these standards have already actually been put in place in other chains of what type of data that needs to go with the NFTs. So the ARC3 allows for the correct information to be attached to the NFTs, so that when interoperability for NFTs do happen, you have that ability.
100%. Yeah, we see the value in that.
Hey, this is Timothy. I just wanted to clarify something. So I actually had to update my rewards based on some U.S. laws, so I won't be able to do the everybody gets some.
Oh, Tim's on.
Yeah,
All right.
Hey, what's
it's
up, Tim?
unfortunate. I had already set it all up. So, and I Chris Kraken reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you should look at this," and I was like, "Oh, damn it." So
I was a little worried about that. I thought it was a brilliant idea though. Like way to press the boundaries a little bit.
yeah, I really wanted to. So now I have some other things planned, but I gotta go through some hoops to figure that out.
People, so as far as actually NFTs are concerned, there's, if you care about regulation, there's a lot of danger around fractional NFTs. As far as they, like, what the verdict is out from, or what I read, is that fractional NFTs, where there's part ownership in a single thing, it really pushes it to the side of a security. So I'm not a regulator, I'm not a lawyer, but I would recommend people really read into the regulation if they care about those things.
Yeah, and that was the security issue for the giving a reward to everyone, even if I'm doing it on my own. If like I'm just a trusted member of the community, it implies that there's a reasonable expectation of profit, and so that's where it kind of came into the concern there.
Yeah, you got to be careful of those things.
Jeez. Yeah, we've been following up on the regulation side of everything as well on our side, and it's really discouraging here in the United States, I've got to say.
Well, speaking of so you guys are going like for the crowdfunding for Zestbloom, correct? You've been very successful for that so far, right?
Yeah, that's
almost
right.
closed.
It's almost closed. In fact, we're at 203 right now, 205 actually, and we already have verbal commitment from an investor to close it out. So it's pretty much happening.
That's great. Are you guys concerned that by going that direction, it makes the token that you do release eventually a security?
Of course, yeah. We've been having a lot of talk with lawyers about how we're going to do it. I can't get into any details about how to do it safely, but I think, yeah, there's definitely some hurdles to get through here. And if it's something that we do, it's going to be done really slowly and really carefully. So we're not going to rush into anything that's going to put
smart,
us.
because I bring that up because props went the same direction, where they actually went with the was it the Reg A, or forget whatever it is, to actually to do their token, and they just announced a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, that they're shutting the project down.
Yeah.
Because of securities issues.
Wow. Well, if push comes to shove, we will dissolve and reappear somewhere else as something different. So
I hear you. I'm full support of the program. As I've told you already, if there's anything at all I can help with, please let me know.
Yeah, I'll get with you offline, and I'd love to just catch up and get to know you a little bit as well.
And also I talked with some lawyers around Europe, and there are some news about coming from Europe about declaring all type of NFTs securities, kind of securities in the European law, which is a bit scary too. So yeah, I will keep in touch with some people on the subject, but that sounds pretty discouraging too in the European side.
Yeah, it's going to be like kind of like how when the internet was first created, there was like a really gray area at the beginning until enough clarification came out. And I'm sure we'll get that eventually.
I hope so, yeah. And also I find it crazy to call a category NFT when they are so different. Like it's it's such a broad concept. Like, how can you like put a framework, like a legal framework around something that is so diverse? Like, it can be anything, really.
Well, I mean, it was similar how the debates were when the internet first came out, you know, and especially how to like, you know, manage it and also how you can, you know, derive profits from it, like the Neutrality Act in a way. You know, like there was a big gray area, a lot of worries for a lot of like early investors, but then, you know, everything fanned out and, you know, the smart ones won in the end.
I hope we're the smart ones.
I hope so too, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So, what else? What haven't we talked about yet this week? There's a lot that happened, huh?
Yeah, so much is happening. I don't even know where to start.
Did anybody? Oh man, I wish Ibu was on because I was hoping he would give some feedback about Salt. Did you guys watch his summary?
Oh no, not yet. Not yet. I have to watch it.
Yeah, I know there's a lot going on in New York, and not just Salt. There were multiple events there, right? He was there for one of the chess matches and an event there. I saw Kelly was there, and there's just a lot of activity over there. The AlgoFi guys were there with some of the investors.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I talked to Ibu yesterday. We had a great, actually, what we were talking about. Like we had a really nice conversation, very long one, interesting one. And yeah, he told me a little bit about the chess, and yeah, there was like great master playing. Like it was very intense in terms of like chess game. But yeah, we didn't really talk about what actually happened there. It's just funny, like that the Solana breakdown, like in the middle of this week. That's so interesting. Like I don't even know. Do you think we can have someone to explain a little bit, like what happened, what is proof of history, and how can something? It's still a beta, but how can something so big, like with so much backing, can just like implode?
I believe proof of history
Are you
works.
talking about EOS?
About Solana,
Oh, okay.
do you know a
But
little bit, Chris, about Solana?
what would you like?
Like,
What would you like to know?
what happened? Like, really, like this is incredible that the whole thing they had to start it again, and they could start it again. It means it's centralized.
No, it doesn't mean it's centralized. It means that the entire network worked together to restart it. I mean, the truth is that it's a beta project that is is still being built out, is still being tested out, and they just have a different methodology than what say Algorand does of figuring things out. Um, I personally, you know, we're not building on Solana. I do my absolute best not to talk poorly about any other protocols or anything of that sort. Um, I believe that a blockchain shouldn't have a risk of actually going under for any amount of time, let alone 20 hours. But they have a lot of very smart people working on that team, and they're working to figure things out. And what they're doing is really hard. But this is one thing that you guys will all hear me say is I like to focus on the things that are real and that are usable and can be done in production. And because when you do that, you get yourself you don't get yourself in as much trouble, because if you try to actually hype things up and talk about the potential of what it will be, you have there's a huge chance that you will be let down. So that's why I love Algorand. There's not a lot of hype, about like what the potential of the future will be, and they are very much more about what can be done today. When I push projects to use a platform, I push them to Algorand because I know what can be done today, and pretty much everything that you would want to be done in DeFi can be done today. So, yeah, I'm not a speculator. I like to talk about what is really able to be done, and Solana is going to do its thing, and they're going to do it their own way, and we shouldn't throw mud at them when things go wrong, and we should just focus on how great Algorand is and how great any protocol is and what they currently are doing, and be as supportive as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's unfortunate that Solana, like, they hit like a massive bottleneck with their throughput. It was just basically just a lot of things in the pipeline that were just waiting to go through that basically broke it down. But to Chris's point, like, Algorand has always proved that what they can do and what they say they can do, they can actually do. And that's an important point, especially at this early stage, as we've been saying, like, people are moving their projects on. When you work on Algorand, you know exactly what you're going to get. And that's the beauty of working on this platform and why the projects are really successful right now.
Can I just chime in real quick? Is anybody going to be in New York for the NFT NYC in November? I'm just curious.
I'm not going to be. I have like 3 major events in November that I'm going to be at already.
Jeff, can you tell us more about it, please?
Yeah, it's going to be probably a very large NFT event in New York City. And I feel like my brother and I, we have a startup boost. It's like we raise funds for early stage, Series A, Series B companies. And he's been very bullish on Algo for the last year or so. And we just feel like the whole entire NFT space is going to trickle over here, then, hopefully explode sooner than later. So, yeah, we're just keeping an eye on everything.
The NFT's Gone Wild by CoinGecko is going to be in New York as well.
Is there a point where there's too much activity, or is our audience going to grow so much that there's a big enough audience and we're not going to get too much dilution from projects moving over to Algo? When projects move over, do you think the audience is going to grow as well?
Oh, I mean, Monty, you've been in your echo chamber way too long. We're like,
hey, devil's advocate.
I mean, crypto in general is a toy. Like, you could take the entire crypto market of $1 trillion, and it's not even a blip on the and the whole grand scheme of things. We feel like it's a lot bigger than what it really truly is, because this is what we do every single day. But like I said, crypto in general is a toy, and we have not even close to yet understood what blockchain will be and how it will change the world. And this is something I say from the absolute bottom of my heart, that blockchain is going to change the world. And it's going to change the world in so much that we can't even describe today how much it's going to be.
Yeah, very early. I agree.
And Algorand is a very small community compared to the other, like, even top 50. Like, we are very, very small.
I mean, I can't speak too much to this, but if I understood the early tokenomics and the release, how they dealt with the the early venture funds investing in Algorand and the vesting periods, I think that if Algorand had a different release schedule or a different token issuance, I think we would be in a different space altogether as well. I don't know if that's like 100% true, but that's what I understand from it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, the Dutch auction at the launch was not like compatible with the free market that came after, and all the tokens that were given, like, distributed, and the early investors, and it was horrible. I was there at the beginning, and I saw the price drop like dramatically, and it dropped 2 times actually, because it came back to 80 cents, I think, because they bought back the tokens. So it was a mess. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Well, 2019 was like, it wasn't an ideal time to list a project. They essentially listed it like right around like Bitcoin's little mini peak it had when it went from like 3K to 12K, and then just kind of wrote it down with it.
Yeah, there was also that. You're right. The correlation with BTC didn't help at all. And Algorand was at the time, people were just making fun of Algorand and of the drop. And I kept thinking like that's the right moment to buy actually. I don't regret.
So are you guys prepared for governance?
Yeah.
I'm never fully prepared, sir, because you can never have enough
Born
algo.
born ready.
Yeah, we never have enough algos. That's true. Yeah, the governance will be interesting. I wonder what will be the first vote. Like, do you have any idea?
Hope it's one of my projects.
Is there 3.5 billion stake now? You think that's going to turn over to governance?
I think maybe $1 billion will go into governance at first.
I think it's the 3 billion that are locked and will be released.
But they need to opt in, I believe, right?
Sorry?
They need to opt in.
Yeah, if you want to become a governor, yeah, there will be a web page. Like you sign in and you add something to the note. I don't know what exactly yet. They will tell us in October. And so the 1st day of October, we will be able to opt in from the wallet without any KYC. So that's why I was thinking maybe I will divide my stack like in let's say 6 different wallets or 5 different wallets. So if I want to use my algo, I can opt out from one wallet to use it on other projects while keeping the other one for the governance and something like that. I'm still thinking about it, and I don't know. What do you think you're going to do, my friends?
I'm personally putting half my algo in there, and then I'm saving the other half just for liquid.
Is it a rolling enrollment, or do you have to make that decision all at once? I don't remember seeing that. I'm sure somebody knows though.
3-month lockup, I believe.
Yeah, but you can't roll in late. You have to make that decision up front. You can pull out.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. And the other thing is, I thought I heard, or maybe this was somebody speculating that somebody was going to come up with a way to kind of double dip. Like there was a dApp that you could utilize your algo, but they would also help you do the government stake, so you could in essence get dual utility out of it.
I was going to ask a little bit left field question. How is the liquidity on yldy going to be affected by this? I'm curious as well.
I mean, whoever's figured out how to double dip, can you please contact me so we can hire them? Because that would...
Is that what we've come to, giving out double dipping techniques on these channels?
I mean, that would be magic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's well beyond science on that at that point.
Right.
And I personally don't think it will affect yldy's liquidity too much, because I mean, by then they'll have by the time there'll be no passive algo staking from just holding the wallet. They'll have an automated market maker up by then with the TL5 contract.
Can somebody DM yldy and tell them do a 3-month stake and give us the 30% on top of it for the randomized reward?
Right.
That would be it. That would be an insane lottery, dude. They'd probably have to have multiple winners. They might have some like that.
But what I'm saying is they have to lock up that portion, in October if they're going to do it. So that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, in October, you will be able to do the passive algo staking as well, I believe. You can choose which one you want to do, and then I believe in January is when they go to straight governance.
Do we have the MIT right here in the room? Hi, MIT. And he has an algo bot. I really want to hear from you. How are you, my friend?
He's not a speaker.
Yeah, I just added him as a speaker. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love the AlGO bot, by the way.
So what do you guys want to talk about? I got a lot of cool stuff I can talk about. What you want?
Share anything. Share what you're most excited about.
I think DAO. I think DAO is to me is the most interesting subject at the moment. I will go for a workshop next week again, and that gets me like so excited. Like anything you can say about DAOs, I love. I love it.
Yeah. So as you know, I think I don't know if people know, but the kind of how Reach is set up is like our primary thing is building the Reach platform where we make it easy for all developers to build blockchain applications. But what we have also done is we've spun up a specialty product department that is designed to actually build the actual code of many applications for other companies. So two projects that we're working on right now, the building the actual stuff, and the one that I think probably everybody knows about is the DEX. That's coming along really well. But the one I'm actually really excited about recently is the Game Jam protocol. And the Game Jam protocol it's an entire ecosystem around tackling the loot box industry, which is a $20 billion a year industry. And it's $20 billion of pretty much wasted money at this point. And what the Game Jam protocol is that it kind of turns that on its head and makes it so that not only do the end users have the ability to own their assets, but that they'll be able to actually bring their assets from game to game to game. So if a game goes away, they don't lose all of that investment. On top of that, there's actually a way to stake your assets in a way that allows for individual to borrow the utility of the NFT, which this will allow for people that have the assets and they don't necessarily want to play the game at that point, stake their NFTs into a lending pool to be able to generate revenue on those NFTs for people that would like to use those assets. So I'm actually really excited about this protocol
Wow,
and where that's
Yeah.
going. And the
that
entire
sounds.
thing,
Can you
yeah.
get back? Can you get back on some parts, please, Chris? Because that's a very complex project. It's easy for you, but not for a normal human. Like, can you just tell us, like, for instance, how can we stake NFTs and what are the steps? Like just slowly, please, for me.
It's actually I can tell you exactly how it's done, but it's extremely a new novel way that nobody else has done yet. And it's not really the fault of other people's because there's really not many utility NFTs out there, like NFTs that actually do something. But I came up with a way like last week, because it's Sunday. So early last week on how to lend out utility in a way um, that increases the value of the assets, but it economically prevents um, depreciation. So it's extremely complicated, but it is really neat. So when that comes out, I we'll probably actually write some type of white paper about it to actually show all the math that goes into it. Um, but at the end of the day, what you really should care about is that you, as a NFT holder, will have the ability to stake your assets into a pool,
Yeah.
and which would allow for users that want the utility of that NFT to borrow the access of that utility in the game that they want to play, which they pay a fee for, which would then go into the pool.
Okay.
And we did this in a way that is very universally accessible, where we're not really inventing a new primitive. So it's really cool that way. But so the Game Jam protocol has like four major innovations. One of them is a DAO, just so like a DAO treasury to be able to invest in games. Number two is the what we call liquidity for illiquid assets, which is the thing I just explained earlier. The third thing is on-chain on-chain NFT randomization. So the ability to open packs in a completely like decentralized way. And the fourth thing is um, a a SDK for video game developers, so they don't need to learn blockchain, and they can just easily just query a API to determine if a user has access to certain features. So those four features are coming within the same project. So I'm
Wow.
really excited about that one.
I'm not
Can
gonna
I
lie, Chris. My wife got mad at me the other day for spending $100 on Apex, and now I'm gonna have to explain to her why I spent like $5,000.
can I ask?
Exactly.
I want to ask. So basically, you're creating an inventory baseline for like the metaverse, and then that kind of the idea?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It's the ability for single asset to be used in multiple different games, with the ability to actually have um, benefits of owning the assets without actually providing or using the utility, which, if that makes sense.
So what about permissions and licenses? Like, again, across developers and such. How would that work?
So I mean, I don't want to give everything away.
You don't have to.
A lot of this is actually baked into the DAO itself, the licensing and the ability to use things. All of that being said, NFTs in general, the whole idea is that they are accessible and out in the real world and owned by the end users. So it's hard to prevent people from doing whatever they want with them because it's a decentralized thing. So these will be completely decentralized assets. There we do have a plan to actually to work with licensed IP to release certain branded entities along with in this way. But those, let's call them sets, are going to actually have special license rules that will be baked into the DAO and the permissions in the DAO itself.
Can you, Chris, give us like an example? If I have an asset in a game, like what's the process? What's the process that I will be able to follow using the platform?
Sure. So one of the things that I ask you to do is forget what you know about NFTs today, and kind of go to, like, if you but you actually listen to my podcast, right? The NFT
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So if you actually really think about what the abstract idea of what an NFT is it's not an asset itself. What it is actually a ownership of an asset. Where, if you think about it, the asset doesn't have to be a thing. It can be an abstract thought now, or an abstract reference, if you will. So if you think of NFTs in that way, what you can do then is that contextually what that asset means can be different from game to game. So by thinking of it in that way, contextually the asset can be represented in many different ways in many different games, but the ownership itself is the thing that truly matters. So this would allow for a asset to go from a first person shooter to a fighting game to a card game to many different things, because contextually what the NFT is matters to the individual game and not to the NFT itself.
Oh, I get it. But the value of the NFT is linked to the assets from the first game, right?
No, it's linked to the abstract thought of the ownership of um, that abstract asset. So when you buy a pack and you open it and you get say a Zeus card, which is a legendary card.
Yeah.
It's very rare to get, but now Zeus it's more of an abstract reference, right? It's not a character Zeus. It's pretty much the letter Zeus. Now, what you could do is, like, a game could be made, that a first-person shooter could be that you could get the Zeus skin for a gun, or in a fighting game, you could get Zeus the fighting character, or in a card game, you could have Zeus the card, and they could all mean different things. They could all mean different, like, do different things, but in a abstract way, you could have the ability to bring that asset from game to game to game.
So let me understand this part. So a licensor, if they create an item, they look for like perpetual propagation for profit. It's like a new potential revenue stream, right?
So no, so this is actually, so the DAO itself is votes and dictates what sets will be released at a time. So the 3 times a year, packs of expansions will be released, and then they will also invest in games to use those assets. So the games themselves don't actually generate or create the assets. The DAO does, and the DAO funds games to use those assets.
Yeah, I see the model. It's very unique. I'm starting to understand it.
Yeah, it's super unique, and this is why I'm really excited about it, and it's making great progress.
Yeah, the utility in that, because I mean, I play a lot of video games, so I could see the real value and aspect of that, because I would love to be able to carry like as for instance like a cowboy hat, for instance, like I had in one game. I'd love to be able to carry that to another game or so forth. You know.
So like how it would work though is that like cowboy hat, it would be more like cowboy, right? The cowboy. So like there could be the cowboy hat could be in one game, could be a hat that would apply to a character purely aesthetic, or in
Ah,
another
okay.
it could be a card that has the ability to enhance your deck by +1 whatever. But because like what it is that you own that asset, and it can be contextually different from game to game to game. It doesn't actually have to be like just a cosmetic item. It could actually be part of the game itself.
I think I'm starting to get it. Yeah, it's like added value to a different asset in a different game based on the NFT that you own.
Sorry, what was that, Bilal?
Now, is it that this NFT can add value to another asset in another game, and we can go on like this from
So
game
no,
to game?
the value itself is actually at the base level, is the actual ownership of the reference, and the value that's what happens is that games will come out continuously that will use these assets. The more games that use these assets, the higher the value of the assets will be. So it's kind of reverse what you just said. Is that the more games that come out that use these assets
Okay, yeah.
increases the value of the asset themselves.
Oh, so okay. So it's the game will come into your platform. So like games will come into your platform, and they will use your structure to organize their assets, right?
They would adopt the assets, and for return, because of every pack sold,
Yeah.
and the actual royalties, and a portion of the lending borrowing would go back to the treasury of the DAO, which would then the DAO would actually vote to actually fund new games being developed.
Wow. Okay, I got it. I finally got it. Sorry, I was just like trying to understand the whole picture.
I'm
It
starting to
sounds
understand.
incredible.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand how it accrues value, and I'm trying to understand how you assign the baseline value. But let me understand this part. If a newer game comes on down the road, like further down the pipe, how would they afford to use older or more expensive assets within the game if it's a newer game? I'm curious about.
That's a great question, and this is where the lending and borrowing comes in. So what we've done is we've actually figured out a way to allow a infinite amount of users to use the utility of assets without technically owning the assets. So what this will allow for is that if there's demand on older assets, they will actually the market will dictate the actual rental price based off of the demand for the individual assets. So this will allow for all assets to always be available to all users based off of the demand.
So if everybody wants to wear a pink hat, it's really expensive that day. If nobody's wearing it, it's cheap.
Exactly.
It's kind of it would be a market, yeah, like supported by the DAO, right? Like it's like a market for all type of assets.
So it'd be more a market that is actually determined by DeFi. I mean, because like what it would be is that there will be individual pools for the assets that will demand that because of just game theory, the more use of a asset from borrowers would demand would because the actual value in that pool would demand more people to actually stake the actual NFTs into that pool. And this is what makes it a liquid pool for illiquid assets.
Wow. So there will be many pools, right?
There will be a pool for each individual NFT. So, because you think about it, there will be multiple copies of an NFT based off of the rarity of the card. But all that would take was be one version of the NFT in a pool to be able to use the utility.
Sorry, Chris, you were cut it. Like you were disconnected for a few seconds. Can you get back to that?
All right. Well, we got an intermission from Chris. The yldy coin just sold for a little over 6,000, I think. The yieldlings drop number 7 is going on right now. Boom.
Yeah, I got my yieldling number 4 that I got
Chris
a
is
profile
back.
picture of for sale.
Chris is back. Chris, can you you were disconnected a little bit. Can you get back to those pools, like how we can like make bring liquidity to those all illiquid NFTs?
So, okay, well, I was just sorry that you guys missed all of that. I went on a whole rant. But what it would allow for is that it would require a minimum of one of the assets to be staked. That would allow an infinite amount of people to actually borrow the utility of that, which would then, because of economics, would incentivize more people to actually stake that NFT into the pool to take advantage of the incentives of the borrowing. So what this does is this doesn't limit the utility of the NFT, but it does increase the want to own one because of the demand for the use. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah. Wow. Oh yeah. I will still need time to really understand this project. It seems like a really big one, right? How many people are you working with? Like, how big is the team?
I mean, it depends on how you count it, but I mean, this is we already have artists involved. We already have game shops involved to actually signed on to actually build towards this their games on for these assets. The actual investment's actually already in place, so it's just a matter of time of before we actually can release. But you know me, I don't talk about things too much about the release, but I really, you asked me what I'm most excited about, and today this is what I'm most excited about.
Wow.
I'm excited about it, dude, because I love stuff like that. I'm gonna have so much fun on that protocol.
Yeah, the first set is gonna be mythological like creatures, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be having fun with that because I like stuff like that. I've collected Pokemon cards my whole life and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's fun collectibles.
My kid's name is Griffin, so hopefully there's a Griffin in there.
And not only that, I've bought like a rare skin like on Fortnite one time, and then I wanted to sell it because it was rare. People were like trying to offer me like thousands of dollars for the skin on Fortnite. But there's like these terms of services where if you sell your account, you could, potentially never be able to log in again.
And Chris, can the game be anything? Like, they can be like any kind of game. They just need to use like any kind of game will be able to use this type of system.
All right, I'm back. I don't know if I missed anything.
Bilal asked if what kind of games can use this system? Do they have to opt in? How hard is it on the developer side or the game side to partake in that?
Well, that's the other innovation, is that we're providing a SDK that will make it as easy as using an API to determine what assets a user has. So it'd be very easy for a video game developer to actually use them, because if we had to train game developers to use a blockchain, good luck with us, right? But so the wallet is part of the innovation. And as far as actually who can use it, I mean, anybody could technically use it because it's a open protocol, so anybody can build on it. My assumption is that the games in the early days that will build it will be the ones that were funded by the DAO, because they would receive the incentive to be part of it as well. But I could see it eventually where any game would like to actually use the existing assets, because another thing that the DAO is going to provide is our free open libraries of like 3D assets to make it easy to integrate the assets into people's games as well. So that's another thing too.
Are you guys using Unity for this?
We're going to actually aim for the top 3. So Unity, I believe Unity, Unreal, and there's one other I forget the name of that we're building a SDK for.
That's really good. You're doing one for Unreal. Their engine's getting like crazy with the details they could do in graphics now.
Yeah, we're so Unreal, Unity, and like the other one is that I forget the name of right now, is like more for like 2D based games. That it makes it easy for make those. So like I said, we're really trying to make it so that there's many different types of games that are used, not just one type of game. By the way, you guys need to stop making me talk about this because it's too early for me to feel comfortable about talking about things.
Fair enough.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing everything.
Spill the beans, Chris.
What's that, Kwame?
Spill the beans.
Yeah, no,
Tell
know
us
me.
everything.
I don't like to talk about things until they're actually knocking on the door.
Wow.
That sounds good. Sounds like a cool project. Congrats, man.
Jeff, can you tell us more about what you're working on? Like, sounds like you're a dev too. Can you tell us more about?
Oh no, we just we have a company where we help startups raise money. We're looking into a lot of Algorand projects. Do investor intros. So I'm just listening. That's pretty much it for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I got stuck on mute. My bad. So, I was hoping somebody would have some more DeFi news. Has anybody got any other projects they've heard about or investigated? In the DeFi space.
Nothing yet besides
My question is, does anybody know what's happening with Wrapped Algo from the Staker DAO?
It's they keep teasing it, so I imagine it's soon, but I can't confirm anything.
They've been waiting for that for a while.
Well, they did have like talks on Twitter with yldy about a partnership, so I imagine they're just trying to maybe get everything in place, and then I'm sure it'll drop soon.
We're so impatient as a group, right? We want it done yesterday.
We want it now.
I'm definitely interested to see what other ASAs get launch padded with yldy.
WGMI, you need to be careful. The Oompa Loompas are going to come get you.
They just might.
I saw Seb just took on an advisor role with something called Snickerdoodle Labs. I didn't have a chance to go check it out, though. Any idea what that is?
No clue. But I will definitely look into it. I like how they're taking initiative in the gaming scene as well. I mean, like crypto is just really native to the gaming community, so.
Actually, I want to ask, anybody else know of any games under development on the Algorand blockchain generally?
Just like a small coin will be having some games up, they said, when they full launch on ALGO. And then naturally, like the yldy game was pretty fun.
I think Algorand partnered with the blockchain game Alliance, but I haven't heard of like some games like precisely. Do you have, Kwame, any ideas about any? Have you heard of anything in the game front?
Most of the games that I've heard and we're doing were like small ones, like no like major, game releases that I know of. But there's a lot of cool projects that could be built into something bigger. But I think Chris would know a lot more from being in depth with a lot of the devs inside the Reach community. I know that they're building a lot of stuff out, but I just haven't been digging as deep as Chris would know.
I mean, I have to balance the stuff that I've been told I'm not allowed to talk about with the stuff I can talk about.
Let's go full open source, Chris.
Show us the list.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're all friends here, right? I will say that I do know there, as far as, Monty, you asked about DeFi. I know that there are some DeFi projects that are working heavily with the Reach and are quite far along. And yeah, games as well, and NFT marketplaces, lending platforms. All of these things are quite far along.
Which is awesome because these projects have been, a lot of these stuff you've been talking about for a bit. So it's awesome to continually hear that these projects are growing and they're moving in the right direction. So it's good to hear.
All right, my internal alarm bell just went off. I need to go check on the yielding, and I might have to start bidding. It may have gotten low enough so the crypto nerd can jump in there. I'm gonna have to log off, guys. Not really for the yieldings. I just got stuff to do. But it's been another fantastic Sunday. I appreciate everybody chiming in there. And just as I'm locking off, I'll still leave the YouTube stream up for those of you on YouTube. Oh, before I go, maybe one last question for Chris. Somebody asked, what's a good way to connect with other Algorand programmers? If you want to answer that, and I'll log off and keep the stream going online.
That's a wonderful question, and the answer is, specifically Reach developers are being snapped up as soon as they are created. So what we're doing is we're running several bounty hack programs, which is a 5-week course that brings a traditional developer up to speed and gives them the tools and what they need to actually build. We are going to start building a job board so that if people want to hire somebody, they can put their information out there. Right now in our Discord community, there is a freelance channel that people post opportunities in right now. But once we actually bring on our head of community, that's going to be cleaned up a bit.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Monty, for like a really good job today with the show. It was amazing on YouTube, and I can't wait for the next one around NFTs. Do we have other questions like to share or comments or anything?
I'm really stoked about Tiny Man this month. That's about it.
I am as well. Tiny Man's an amazing project.
Yeah, Tiny Man is, yeah, so sounds like it is a very exciting project. Yeah, can't wait. David, how are you, my friend? Feel free.
Hi, Bilal. I have a question, but before that, I'm starting an Algorand meetup in Washington, D.C. So if there's anybody in the Washington, D.C. area, feel free to sign up.
Oh, cool. How can we sign up if we want to join your meeting?
It's a meetup, meetup.com. I am trying to get connected with the foundation to try to have that connection as well. But yeah, it's a meetup.com, and it's going to be, mainly for people to get together, but hopefully there'll be a development aspect to it as well. Try to onboard some developers as well.
Yeah, thank you.
But I had a question. I tried to ask this during the developer office hours, but no one had much information. Michael Cotton from AlgoMint mentioned in one of his tweets that the whole El Salvador things with koi banks, that like they were going to try to preserve privacy using something called transaction webbing, which I really couldn't find anything about. I was wondering if anyone knew anything about that. Kind of interested in this, the privacy aspect when you have a public blockchain like that, and how Algorand is going to solve that.
Sounds like a question for Chris.
Yeah, I figured that was directed to. I would say that I don't know enough to actually be able to speak clearly about it. I don't want to say that it's marketing speak, but if like I don't know specifically about that project or what they're actually trying to do and what they're implementing. I have heard those definitions be used before, but not in anything I know about in the Algorand space.
Yeah, I've been having a hard time trying to find information about it, but I'm sure it will come out sooner or later. But thank you.
But yeah, it's a good question, and I think it's one of the conditions to establish a CBDC is to guarantee privacy for small transactions, and that's a very important feature that any CBDC has to have. And I've read about it on the regulation part of side of things, and I'm pretty sure Algorand is working on it. But like, yeah, if Chris doesn't know, I'm not sure I will know any better.
Yeah. I have to take my kids to run club, so it's been great once again. And
Thank you so much, Chris.
See you guys.
Thank you,
All right,
Chris.
bye, Chris.
Talk to you soon, my friend.
See you, Chris.
Yeah, we had a long day. We had a long one today again. Like we had two long ones. The first one in the morning was 2 hours. Now it's like almost 2 hours too. And we had the show on YouTube. Do we have any other question that we can try to deal with, or should we call it a day and have some rest? And
Yeah, we can call it a day and, get back on it next week.
Cool. I want to thank you so much, like all of you, and Kwame, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, thank you so much for coming. It was a great, great discussion with Chris.
I was listening in earlier with the early stream, and I just wanted to hear what everybody was saying before I chimed in, today. Thanks again. Appreciate you guys having us.
Yeah, you're welcome to all the sessions. Like we run 2 per Sunday, like one earlier for the Australian side of the world, and this one here. Yeah, thank you so much for your input. Thank you so much, everybody. Talk to you soon, and take care, my friends. Bye-bye.
Yeah, have a great day.